AITA for refusing to eat my wife's spaghetti after I found out what she put in it. Last night my wife made spaghetti and it smelled amazing. She said she tried something new and wanted me to just eat it before asking questions. I had a few bites and it tasted kind of off but not terrible, just weirdly sweet and earthy. I asked what she changed, and she told me she blended up leftover spaghetti from 6 days ago and mixed it into the sauce to thicken it. I immediately stopped eating. I know it is technically the same ingredients, but the idea of blended old noodles mixed into fresh sauce made me feel sick. She got offended and said I already ate half a plate, so clearly it was fine, and I was just being dramatic now that I knew. I told her that is exactly the point. I did not know. If I had known beforehand, I would not have eaten it. She said I was being wasteful and disrespectful and acting like she served me garbage. I ended up making a sandwich because I could not finish it, and she got really upset and barely talked to me the rest of the night. Now she told her family and they think I embarrassed her, but my mom thinks it is gross and I should not have been tricked into eating it. I feel bad for hurting her feelings, but also I feel like I should get a say in what I am eating. AITA. NTA, it tasted kind of off but not terrible, just weirdly sweet and earthy. You want to know what that earthy taste probably was? Mold. Yup. You're right on the money. I once bit into some bread I didn't realize had mold on the underside. I was half asleep but also hungry. It tastes like soil and kinda does have a slightly sweet, earthy taste. If something tastes earthy, that isn't supposed to stop eating. It's mold. LOL, my wife would be just like Op. Ain't touching something that's been in the fridge for X amount of days. And to be honest, I wouldn't touch 6-day-old spaghetti either, and I'm known for eating days-old leftovers. I'm even having a pasta salad I made 3 nights ago for lunch today. NTA. No way pasta was moldy after 6 days in the fridge. Possibly have some bacteria. Sure, should you eat it? No, but mold, highly unlikely. Like an oaky afterbirth. NTA, leftover pasta can actually make you very sick, and you don't mess around with food safety. And I think your wife knew you wouldn't be okay with it, otherwise she would have disclosed from the get-go. Does your wife come from a country culture with lax food safety standards? My ex comes from a place family like that, and I had some hair-raising incidents during our marriage, with foods being left out all day in the heat of summer, etc. Old pasta has killed people, no joke. My husband also comes from a country culture with lax food safety standards. That place is Louisiana. And why on earth would you blend spoilage in with perfectly fresh food? Edit, Op, your wife has questionable zero food safety knowledge. I personally wouldn't eat anything I didn't see her make myself, or maybe pay for an affordable food safety class she can take ideally in person, but they have ones online. Problem is, you can't teach people who refuse to admit they were wrong. BTW, I have worked in the food industry longer than I care to say, including being an executive chef. I vomited my brains out the day after eating lasagna my partner made. When I asked him what he used to make it, he told me he'd used a jar of tomato sauce from the fridge that had already been opened, no idea when it was opened. I have a sensitive stomach, but vomiting up pasta and red sauce was truly awful. I didn't touch red sauce for over a year. Hugh just reminded me of my ex-mill, and by extension my ex-husband. She literally would make this giant Thanksgiving feast, all the food in those disposable aluminum pans, and then because there was no room in the fridge, she did not want to clean it out, she would leave the pans of food on the counter for a week and would be eating off them the entire time. Nauseated face. Cooked pasta is really dangerous past 5 days. Your girlfriend could have gotten you really sick. NTA. It's worse, she's his wife. What's the maximum time cooked pasta dishes should be in the fridge? My mom do my favorite macaroni lasagna pasta like once every blue moon, and I always eat it for like 5-ish days in a row should I stop. It's also always in the fridge, safely in Tupperware. When I was 18, I got a job cleaning schools. I'd go to work at 5 a.m., start at 6 a.m., work until 3 p.m. Then I had a second job at a different school across the city. I'd get to that job at 4 p.m. and work until 1 a.m. I didn't have time to eat, so I started cooking pasta on Sundays. I'd cook it and mix it with jar tomato sauce and put it in the fridge. I'd eat it all week, every morning at 2 a.m., and make a new batch on Sunday. I'm going to stop reading these comments and be happy I never got sick. That sweet earthy taste was probably mold in the old sauce. Clarification, how big is your life insurance policy? She'll probably make a pretty penny. I'll see myself out. Time to cash in. Isn't pasta prone to the same bacteria that old rice is, Bacillus cereus? It can literally kill you. Definitely NTA, and she seriously needs to learn some food hygiene. Having eaten rice that was off and lived to profoundly regret that choice, I'm so glad that I rarely make enough pasta to have leftovers that long. I threw up so violently that I burst blood vessels in my eyes. It was a bad day. Potatoes too, and it's not the bacterium itself that's dangerous, but toxins it produces as metabolic waste. Unlike the bacteria themselves, these toxins withstand both heat from cooking, actually temperatures much higher than can be achieved through cooking, and the highly acidic environment of the stomach. These are the really scary ones that can cause diarrhea, skin rashes, blindness, liver failure, sepsis, and death. Backslush and this backslush. Bacilli cereus is a microbe that specializes in feeding on aged carbs, hence, cereals. Pasta kept at unsafe temps, forget and leave it out. Pitch it, old cooked rice in the fridge, etc. When in doubt, throw it out has saved many PPL over the decades, from a miserable night pukin' and poopin', or a hospital stay or worst case, death. Molds growing on cheese can be safely cut away. Use a clean, sharp, non-serrated blade. Wipe the blade with vinegar between each cut. Wrap the pared down cheese in a fresh wrapper, and if possible, pre-slice and freeze it. Frozen cheese keeps safely far longer. Note that freezing farmers or cream cheese and similar fresh cheeses will alter their texture, though not their taste. But mold on bread, never, ever eat even a slice from a loaf with mold, even from the opposite end. Mold we see is the fruiting body of the entire organism, which can be everywhere, invisible in that loaf. Bread molds can make you extremely ill. We're talking hospital care, not home nursing. Yes, exactly, it's a pretty common part of starchy foods. Yes. Fun fact, old pasta is one of the largest contributors to food-borne illness. The combination of right pH, nutrients, moisture content, etc. is perfect for the growth of microorganisms. Do not eat pasta older than a few days. 6 is kind of pushing it. As for the original post, that's kind of gross. Why blend it? Also, why tell her family? If it was just the two of you, then there is no one to be embarrassed by. Now that she ran her mouth, there is plenty to be embarrassed by. Also, just out of curiosity, do you or your wife come from backgrounds where food was scarce? Would explain a lot, no judgment. I was just curious. I've seen this behavior in roommates that grew up poor or with a lot of siblings they had to fight for food. I had a roommate in college some 20 years ago in the non-trad honors dorm. I was 20, she was nearly 50. She used to cook a couple pounds of ground beef and leave it on her desk for a few days in an uncovered bowl. Her desk sat in the sun and right by the radiator. I was surprised she never got sick. She told me she grew up poor and had an iron stomach. After a semester of living with her and seeing her do things like that, I believed her. Also, we had 3 communal full-size refrigerators on our floor, and I had a mini fridge she could have stored it in. She preferred it room temp. I won't even get into what she did with the beef fat she drained from it. Weirdest doormate I ever had. Probably blended it so Op couldn't see it was spoiled. Fact that people simply do not know that when you mix something old with something new, you make the entire thing old is mind-boggling. I was constantly stopping other people from doing that in the restaurant business. I mean, come on, it's food safety 101. I have had this conversation so many times with my dad. This plus the idea that if something is old, you just have to boil it again to start the clock again from zero. The amount of people in this thread that think just because something is refrigerated, it's safe to eat up to 10-14 days is disturbing me and grossing me out. I think the worst story like that I heard on here was someone's roommate was dumping the remnants of the milk into the new container once they opened it and couldn't figure out why it constantly tasted off. Info. Was the old spaghetti frozen, or has it been sitting in the fridge for a week? If it was frozen, you're probably overreacting. If it's been sitting around for several days, she is going to seriously poison everyone. Who even freezes spaghetti? This is what I want to know too. Fridge, yeah, that's gross. Freezer, I've eaten spaghetti that I know has been in there at least a month and never had issues. No one in my family has. Thank you very much for watching. Put likes, write comments, and wait for new videos on the channel.